What's going on, everybody watching this? If you watch it for 5 minutes or whatever, 20 minutes or 15 minutes, however long I go, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. This is my NXT review for February 3rd, 2016. Today, February the 3rd of every month, the WWE Network goes in my bank and takes $9.99 out. So that's, I don't know why they do it on the 3rd of every month, but they do. So anyways, I was happy to give them my $10 every month because I enjoy NXT on the network the most, and I enjoy watching the old WCW Monday Nitros also the most. So it kicked off with a tag team match. The Vaudevillains went up against the Hype Bros. This was pretty short. There wasn't much that happened. Vaudevillains win. I expected that. The Hype Bros, I don't really get why they're still together, because WWE on the main roster, they refused really to use Zack Ryder unless they put him on Superstars or Main Event. That's the only place they use in our show and let Zack Ryder work is on basically shows that nobody watches. So I understand why the Hype Bros are a tag team and why they're still together but in NXT it's kind of pointless that the Hype Bros are still together, because I don't see them winning the tag titles anytime soon, if ever. And I don't think they ever will become tag champs. So just bring the Hype Bros to the main roster. I think they do good on the main roster because they would be a new tag team on the main roster to feud with the New Day and the Usos and other teams. The Hype Bros would add a lot to the main roster because they'd be a new tag team on the main roster. Even though WWE has the Ascension on the main roster as a tag team and they don't get used at all. They're pretty much, the Ascension fell off the face of the WWE universe. They fell off the face of the earth in the WWE universe because they're never used on Raw or SmackDown hardly. It seems to me, and it feels like to me, that the Ascension, it seems like they're not even in the WWE to me, because they're never seen anymore. But whatever. Maybe the Ascension should go back to NXT full time and bring the Hype Bros to the main roster full time. That's what I would do if I was running things. So the Hype Bros lose to the Vaudevillains. Nice win for the Vaudevillains. I don't see them getting the tag titles back, but it was a nice win for them. Maybe they'll feud with American Alpha over a #1 contender spot to get a tag title shot. Up next, we had an interview. It looked like in a studio. It was an interview with Carmella, the #1 contender for the NXT Women's Championship. Carmella was interviewed by Tom Phillips. Nice interview to get Carmella over and to get the fans to get behind Carmella, because she is getting a title shot next week. Is her big title shot against Bayley. I know it already happened, but I will not read the spoilers. I want to find out when it happens next week, even though it was taped. I don't read spoilers because I don't like to. I don't like watching. I wouldn't watch a wrestling show that's taped. I wouldn't watch it if I want to know what happened already. Then I wouldn't even bother watching. So Carmella, good interview with her to push her over as a character. Up next, we had Dash, the NXT Tag Champs. Dash and Dawson backstage, in a backstage interview. They basically were talking about Enzo and Big Cash could not get the job done and defeat them for the tag titles, so they put down Enzo and Cash. Maybe that shows us that in the future Enzo and Cash are going to get another tag title shot and win them. If they're not going to give the tag title shot to American Alpha at NXT Dallas before WrestleMania, then I would give the tag title shot to Enzo and Cash and finally have them win the big one and win the tag titles in NXT, because they deserve to be NXT tag champs. Enzo and Cash deserve it before they head to the main roster, if they ever do. Up next, after Dash and Dawson in their backstage interview, we had the first women's match of the night. It was Emma. Everybody knows that follows me on Twitter. I'm a huge fan of Emma. She is really underrated. WWE doesn't treat her right. They misuse her. Her talents are really misused, and Emma is super underrated as a talent and as a wrestler. Emma versus Carmella. This was the first women's match of the night. We would have another one. That wouldn't go very long. But I was glad to see, every week I'm glad to see at least 2 NXT women's matches a show. I would like to see 2, 3's probably too many, but I would like to see 2. When I went to NXT Live 3 weeks ago, there were 3 women's matches on the show. That was pretty surprising. I thought we were only going to see 2, but there was 3. It was Eva Marie against Peyton Royce. The other women's match was Carmella against Alexa Bliss that I saw live, and the third women's match was Bayley defending the NXT women's title against Nia Jax. So I was happy to see 3, and pretty surprised to see 3 women's matches at NXT Milwaukee 3 weeks ago when I went there live. It was on a Thursday night, so 3 Thursdays ago. So anyways, Emma, Carmella, they have a pretty good match. Carmella wins. I wasn't shocked at all that Carmella got the win, because they got to push her because she is the #1 contender. But again, I love Emma, love her character, love her work in the ring, love her looks. Emma is super underrated in WWE, and especially in NXT. They got to start treating Emma right and start pushing her. After Carmella gets her title shot, they better start pushing Emma to go against Bayley, because that'd be a great match. I would love to see Emma versus Bayley for the championship. Have them in a series of championship matches and have them feud. Have Emma take on Bayley at NXT Dallas, TakeOver Dallas. That'd be great. It'd be a 5-star match. Up next, after Carmella wins her match against Emma, we had a Sami Zayn interview where he basically talked about what happened in the triple threat match last week, where him and Joe had Baron Corbin locked, both in submission moves. Sami had the sharpshooter on Corbin. Joe put on a crossface, and Corbin tapped out to both of their submission moves. So Sami Zayn talked about what happened last week, and that he doesn't know what William Regal's going to do. And then after that, we had backstage, they tried to get the cameraman tried to get an interview with Samoa Joe. He refused to talk, and he looked pissed off and angry, basically, and scared the cameraman away, like he should as a heel. Because Samoa Joe as a heel is a badass. He's a bad man. So Joe didn't talk at all. After that, we had an American Alpha. Jason Jordan, Chad Gable, one of the best tag teams in the wrestling business today, in my opinion. Very good, super talented as a tag team. They work really well together. They're just a great team. Can't say enough good things about America Alpha. They are future NXT tag champs for sure, and if they ever go to the main roster together, they would be great WWE tag champs. American Alpha, they show a video package on them as a team. It was pretty awesome. After that, we had Enzo and Big Cash come out. I thought they were going to just cut a promo, but they had a match. Enzo and Big Cash defeat two jobbers. I don't know the jobbers' names. I didn't bother to listen to who they were, and I don't really care who the jobbers were. Enzo, Big Cash win. It was a good win for them. Even though, whatever, I don't really understand why they beat jobbers and couldn't take on some other heels that could have been used at the tapings, but whatever. I don't really have a problem with NXT guys defeating jobbers. If they're top NXT superstars, then they should defeat the jobbers every time. But this is in the late 80s, early 90s. I don't like seeing top stars against job guys. Especially in 2016, it's kind of stupid. But I understand it in NXT because it is only a 1-hour show. And NXT's 1-hour show is kind of a throwback of the late 80s and a WCW Saturday Night show. Anyways, up next we had an Apollo Crews interview. Apollo Crews had an interview. And he talked about the main event. He talked about who he was going to face. He talked about Finn Balor, the champion, and who he's going to face. So it was a nice interview. Nice to hear from Apollo Crews. After that, we had I think not Sami Zayn. After the Apollo Crews interview, we had, I think, William Regal, the general manager, William Regal, talking about what his decision was on the match last week. And he said Baron Corbin comes in. He says we're going to see a rematch between Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe. And then Baron Corbin breaks in his office, comes in. Regal says, you're not involved because you lost. You're not involved in the rematch. Corbin is pissed off, did not like that. And this, someone was at my door and some other business with someone else that lives in my house. I wish the jerk off would have called instead of knocking on my door. But the fucker did not call. I apologize. If you heard that, someone knocked at my door and you got distracted. Oh, that dumbass jerk off should have called first. So after Regal, I lost my train of thought. After Regal announced we're going to see Sami Zayn versus Samoa Joe, I don't know if it's next week. It probably will be in 2 or 3 weeks because NXT taped a lot of TV from a big arena in Orlando, Florida. So Sami Zayn versus Samoa Joe for the new #1 contender spot to face the champion Finn Balor will probably take place, my guess is, in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Up next, we had Asuka. The second women's division match of the night. Asuka defeating how do you say your first name? It's not very hard. Not Santino. Whatever her name was. Garrett. I don't know why I can't remember her first name. Whatever. Doesn't really matter. You know who she is if you watched NXT. Asuka defeats Garrett. Garrett, she's a great worker on the indies. She's worked, I believe, in Shine, women's wrestling company called Shine. She's worked there, been their champion. I think she's their champion. She was NWA Women's Champion last year. She won that title. She was, I think she's worked for Shimmer, but I'm not sure. Anyways, Garrett whatever her first name is, I cannot fucking remember unless I heard it. Anyways, Garrett wins. Quit talking! Garrett wins. Again, not Garrett wins. Garrett loses and jobs to Asuka. This was a pretty short women's match. Asuka wins. Defeats Garrett. As I said, Garrett, I've seen her work many times. She's a great, great worker, great women's wrestler. She was in TNA before. I think last year she was even in TNA still. Obviously, her contract ran out and she didn't want to stay in TNA anymore because they weren't going to really do anything with her. So she's been on the indies. She's a great worker, great women's wrestler. WWE and Triple H and NXT should sign Garrett and put her in NXT, and she can be a new member of the women's division. Asuka wins. Asuka looked great in her victory, and she is a top contender, definitely for Bayley's title. So now we had a Finn Balor backstage interview talking about the main event. That was pretty good to set up the main event. The main event was Apollo Crews taking on Finn Balor. This was a pretty damn good wrestling match. It went probably over 10 minutes. We saw Finn Balor do a somersault, front flip dive over the top, whatever you want to call it, a plunge, whatever it's called. He did a front flip, a dive over the top rope, took out Crews on the floor. That was awesome. Great action, great wrestling match, great main event. Apollo Crews, Finn Balor. I saw them wrestle live 3 weeks ago. They were in the main event. It was Crews, Ballard, and Corbin. They had a great triple threat, and Crews and Ballard work very well together, especially seeing them live. They were awesome to see them wrestle live. Even though they were in a triple threat and it wasn't a one-on-one match, they still had great chemistry together. So Crews, and tonight, it was no different. Finn Balor, Apollo Crews, they have great chemistry. They put on a damn good match. I enjoyed it. There's some great wrestling, great storytelling, great psychology. It was awesome. Finn Balor does his double stomp off the top. That move is in my opinion, that move is damn dangerous because Finn Balor, if he lands wrong, he could sprain an ankle or break his ankle or even break his foot. It's not a safe move, I don't think, doing a double stomp off the top rope. He could get injured, and he should quit doing that finisher, but it is a very cool finisher to see. He did not do it in person 3 weeks ago when I was at NXT Live. In NXT Milwaukee, he did not do that double stomp in person. I'm sure he doesn't want to do it at house shows, every single house show, because he could get injured. But he did pull out the double stomp tonight. Double stomps to the chest and to the back of Apollo Crews' neck and head. Apollo kicked out of one of them, but he couldn't kick out. Finn Balor wins. That was expected because he is the champion. He looked really strong. In losing tonight, Apollo Crews losing did not really hurt him at all. He still looked damn good in the main event. I expected Finn to win because he's a champion, and that was the right decision. I was pretty surprised that no Corbin interfered or Samoa Joe interfered. And then if Joe would have interfered, I would have expected Sami Zayn to come out and interfere, but that didn't happen. That was good to see that there was no interference in this main event. This week's NXT was pretty good. I would give it a 7 or 6 or 7. It was pretty good. Pretty basic show. Nothing over the top awesome happened, but it was a good show. It was much better than more enjoyable than Raw. That's for damn sure, because it's a 1 hour show. So this is and was my NXT February 3rd, 2016 review. Hope you enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter at TNA WWE Guy, and my second account that I was tweeting from tonight at NXT WWE Guy. Bye for now, everybody.